Our next presentation is Piko to Piko, growing Kalo on the continent.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Nicole Lee Kamakahiolani Ellison, and I am going to share about Piko to Piko, growing Kalo on the continent. This presentation will be a brief 6 minutes, so we're not going to do a huge deep dive, but we're going to go pretty fast. So hopefully I will keep your attention. We're going to talk about our project, why it's important to us, a little bit of about diaspora, and then what we are doing to kind of go back to our traditional food systems and try to really attack our current health status. So the Kumalipo is our creation chant. It shares basically our creation knowledge, how everything that we do, where it stems from. And it's about we have two gods that created light and darkness. They had a stillborn human child. They buried the child, and from that stemmed a long Kalo. So we trace our lineage to Kalo, or in English, Taro. Our ontology is based off of caring for the land, and in return, it'll provide for us. Kalo was a staple food before contact, and traditionally there were two methods of growing Kalo. So we have the Lāhui, which is more like a wetland, kind of like a cranberry bog, rice paddy kind of thing. And then we have, that's not correct. And then we have a mala, which is like a garden, more dry land. But so how does Kalo really tie into our health? So the ancient Hawaiian diet was about 80% carbohydrates. We had breadfruit, taro, sweet potatoes. We had a very minimal amount of fat and protein. And these were things that, we were skilled farmers, we were fishers, we had these things as part of our daily plate, our meal. Kind of like how Dr. Lau had mentioned earlier, we had these traditional food systems, we had diverted waterways that fed these systems that we created. And then, fast forward our current plate, which is not very much like what we previously ate. So, we had fish, we had coconut, and the coconut is actually one of the things we brought with us on our voyages. So it was things that we really had studied and learned how to grow and flourish. The next slide you'll see is our current plate, which is fabulous and delicious, but it is not very representative of our previous plate. Our insides have not really caught up to really digesting that. It's not 80% carbohydrates. Well, there's rice and stuff that's kind of carbohydratey, but not really. So then we have diaspora. And so what is diaspora? Diaspora is the scattering of people. It sounds pretty harsh when you look at it like that. But that's really what happened to us. We were scattered from our homelands. It was not my choice to leave my homeland. I was 8. And there's a couple places that it shows where we went. So Nevada, the census shows the West Coast is pretty much where we ended up. Nevada, also the 9th island, which is not what I call it because we actually have a 9th island. It's still in the water, but whatever. A lot of people go to Nevada, Las Vegas for it's cheap. Well, it used to be cheap. California also has a large population of Native Hawaiians. And then we have other states on the West Coast. We have Washington and Oregon. I live in Washington. I love it. I finished my degree at the University of Hawaii, and basically, like Tongi said, I was priced out of paradise. So I looked at the census, saw where most of the Native Hawaiians were, where I could kind of reconnect with my culture or stay connected to my culture. And I ended up in Washington, where you can actually buy a house that's not $1 million and a postage stamp. And Oregon. Oregon is another state recognized for the large Hawaiian population. But interestingly enough, Hawaiians have been on the Pacific Northwest coast for hundreds of years. They used us for logging industry, and it's been not well documented, but it's interesting to see how we connected with the tribes there. But 20 miles in Portland, There's a community garden that we're working with, and we are actually trying to. This is where our story of cultural revitalization begins. It took many years, many hands, community partners, but we have started growing dryland taro at the Oregon Food Bank. This is a driving force behind the Hawaiian Civic Club in Oregon. They have partnered with many folks there to make this happen. The day starts super early at the mala. We get out there at about 7 o'clock in the morning. It's all kinds of people from the community. It's families, it's elders, and it's really what you're capable of doing. So you're not expected to, lift giant boulders if that's not what you're physically capable of doing. And in that previous and this photo, we're actually getting ready to build a traditional wall that'll go around the mala to kind of protect it from the deer or the other things that are in the area that are trying to eat our crops. So the next picture you'll see is the progress of the wall. We just put up a greenhouse to try to protect some of the crops as the winter comes in. And in this space, there's protocol to follow. So, we come into this space, the space can fill our energy. It's very important that you come in with the right mindset and that you're following what the flow is. And my favorite part is that this is really a family adventure. This is a family thing. This is not just like regular public health where it's very individualized. This is everybody. This is the whole community, and that's my little guy. He was stoked because we got to play with rocks all day. But other than that, this was a huge collaboration, so it's not just one or two people. It was the Oregon Food Bank. We have the Mohala Youth Council. There's the Pacific Climate Warriors, the Samoan Pacific Development, Suyang, and the amazing community that came out and spent their time with us at 7 o'clock in the morning. But thank you. Wow, that went really fast.